How can I tell if I'm a real artist? What does it take to be considered an artist? Am I worthy of being called an artist? Let's talk about this. If you click on this video, you either want to know how to become an artist, or you feel like you need someone to help you understand if you have permission to consider yourself an artist, or you already know the answer to these questions and you're just here to see what the hell is this person going to talk about. So let me just go straight to the point. If you want to make art and you like to make art, you are an artist. Hi, my name is Veronica, aka Vespertilio. I am an Italian comic book author, tarot and oracle deck creator, and your spooky art teacher.
It's me again, yours truly.
You are an artist. I know I could have left this for the end of this video and just kept you hanging for several minutes, but I believe it's best to get things straight before anyone else starts panicking. Because not much long ago, I was in your shoes. It doesn't matter how much you create or how frequently, what you're studying or your level of skills. If you desire to make art, you probably have an artist within you. Start making art and you'll be that artist. The cats are playing. It took me way too long to start calling myself an artist and to start believing in what I was saying. Even after I became a professional when my first graphic novel got published, it took me almost another 4 years to understand that being a professional and being an artist are two different things, and I've been the second one for way longer than I even imagined. And today I'm going to talk about what I learned in these past 4 years and include a list of 10 unhealthy misconceptions about artists, hoping to help you get out of your shell and start living like the artist I know you are. It's quite easy nowadays to find courses and resources to improve our skills and learn how to make art. It's less common to find information on how to bring out the art already existing within you. But one of my latest discoveries is Brent Evanston's class, Becoming Creative, on Skillshare, which is also the sponsor of today's video. I started taking this class quite recently and I could immediately tell how impactful those teachings could be. The course opens up telling us that creativity is not a skill but a way of living. The teacher also explains the rise and fall of creativity from childhood to adulthood, revealing to us that often grown-ups weaken their spark when they start preferring to be correct rather than creative. What I love about this class is that it is open to everyone, regardless of your artistic and creative journey. Whether you are a professional or someone totally new to this, creativity can be nurtured and reawakened within you. Though these kinds of classes are not as common as other art courses, I wasn't surprised to find it there, for Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives of all capacities. With thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, productivity, drawing, and much more. Whether you want to find a new hobby, nurture a passion of yours, turn it into a career, or reawaken the artist within you, Skillshare provides you with the tools for your next step. If you're ready to start this new season with your next creative adventure, the first 500 people to use the link in my description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today. And thank you again, Skillshare, for partnering with me. This video is going to be divided into chapters. In the first part, we're going to talk about the P theory, how passion, practice, perseverance, and patience make progress, and why we should forget about perfection. In the second part, we're going to see what are the reasons why we won't call ourselves artists, and why we struggle to recognize our worth by diving into 10 common misconceptions about real artists that might be blocking your art journey. In the third part, we're going to talk about mindset shifts and share some resources to help us in our recovery process. And finally, I'm going to give you some exercises to start giving more space to your artist self and start exploring your passions. You'll find the complete timeline with each chapter in the description below and in the first pinned comment. And with that said, let's get to part 1, the P theory. So this is not a known theory. I elaborated this thought while thinking about how I approach my art journey without even realizing. Let me explain. The P theory states that in order to improve and step forward in a skill and therefore make progress, you will require 4 aspects: patience, practice, perseverance, and patience. Each aspect can be built by other 2. So, for instance, patience and practice make perseverance. Patience and perseverance make practice. Patience and patience make both perseverance and practice. All these four aspects together make progress. Now, you might have noticed there is one aspect in particular we cannot seem to build, which is passion. And that is because, in my opinion, passion cannot be built. While something can make you passionate, you cannot decide to practice passion towards something. You can become passionate about something and therefore you are willing to practice, be patient, be persistent, and make progress. But passion is a spark. You can grow that spark into a fire, but you'll need that spark within you first. Now, how can we tell if we're passionate about something? There are different ways to tell, one of which is the billion-dollar question. If I woke up tomorrow as a billionaire, would I still be passionate about art? By the way, let me tell you that in my opinion, if you really feel the desire to become passionate about something, my friend, you probably already are. In that case, what you're lacking is perseverance, patience, and practice. And those things are actually all linked to confidence, which gets threatened by the last P, perfection. The strive and search for perfection is one of the most damaging things we can do in our art journey. Because in my experience, perfection kills passion. And as we explored, passion is the core aspect of our creative life. Now, I could definitely make a whole video about this theory, for I had a lot of time to think about it and to fall into that rabbit hole. But just to wrap it up, I want to spare a couple more words on practice, perseverance, and patience. When we think about practice, we often think about something schematic. While many times, artists practice with perseverance and lots of patience by simply making art. Beautiful, healthy, imperfect art. How many times we've found ourselves facing a problem in an art piece to then seek for solutions and learn something new? That is practice, that takes perseverance, and that requires patience. The most impatient artist of all has probably practiced patience so many times and doesn't even realize it. We get scared by the idea of patiently practicing with perseverance because we see it as getting back to school and grades. We see it as an unbearable commitment, while the ultimate commitment is be willing to dive into a passion of yours. So perfection is the ultimate enemy of passion. But why is that so? Let's talk about this in part 2. As anticipated, we're going to list 10 common misconceptions about artists to debunk with you. But before looking at them, I want to briefly talk about trauma. I've already talked about this in several of my videos, like the "Why do adults stop drawing" one, and what I could learn is that many times we cage the artist within us because we've experienced some kind of traumatic event linked to our artistic journey. A parent might have discouraged your passion, classmates may have laughed at your drawings, an art teacher maybe told you you were not good enough. Whatever it is, what we remember about those experiences is someone telling us that we're lacking something, that something is missing, that in order to be real artists, we need to feel a somewhat empty part of ourselves and that we are indeed imperfect. And we learn that there are boxes we need to check in order to be real artists. And what's absurd is that when people in general think about artists, the thought goes to creative people who are not going to fit into boxes. So why should we be concerned with checking some? Now let's break 10 harmful misconceptions and stereotypes about real artists. Number 1, a real artist is impeccably skilled in their craft. Wrong. If that were true, all the avant-garde and experimental artists would not have a place in art history books. While as a teacher, I strongly believe that you need to know the rules in order to break them, I'm also an artist who learned to properly draw hands while working on our first graphic novel. If we wait for perfection to start expressing our creativity through art, then we are doomed to never let it out and never let it live outside of ourselves. Art is art even when it's full of mistakes. And there are some art pieces that are more technically correct than others. But I'm not here thinking Niki de Sanfel is less an artist than Michelangelo. Art is art. Misconception number 2. A real artist is famous. That is so wrong. I get it, especially today in the internet era, and more specifically in this age of social media. Being known makes a difference in how you're perceived by your audience, but that difference is relevant at a professional level, not an artistic one. You can become a famous artist, but if we remove the fame, the art still remains. In fact, another misconception about real artists is number 3, a real artist is successful. Again, not true, for two main reasons. Number 1, you can make imperfect art just for yourself and still be an artist. Are you seeing this? Mary! And number 2, success is subjective. You might think to be a successful artist you need to be your own art exhibition, but another one will define success on how much money they make with their art. And another will define success based on the number of likes they get on social media. Also, now I have 60k followers on Instagram, but I remember vividly how successful I felt the first time I got 100 likes on a post. Misconception number 4, a real artist makes art for a living. That is not necessary. An artist can choose to become a professional or not. If you make art, you are an artist. It doesn't matter if you then make money out of it or not. In fact, there are many people who have regular jobs and just indulge in their art when they get back home. Art is their passion and they can rightfully decide to express it as a job or as a hobby. Either way, again, the art remains. Number 5, a real artist starts at a young age. I'll just answer with an example here. Grandma Moses. Grandma Moses was an American artist who lived between the 19th and 20th century. She's one of the most prolific painters of all times, with an estimated 2,000 artworks created by her. Well, she started actively painting at 76 years old. It's never too early, it's never too late. Number 6, a real artist doesn't change their mind. How many times we felt guilty for wanting to try something new, for not wanting to stick to a specific art style or aesthetic? Well, that is perfectly normal. And in my opinion, not only it is healthy, it's also inevitable. Our artistic expression and art style are linked to us as people, to the inspiration, aspirations, and influences that we encounter in our lives. And as we proceed in our artistic journey, we will grow as people too. And therefore, we will encounter other inspirations, have new aspirations, and become influenced by new, sometimes very different things. To stop our artistic journey because of change would be like stopping our life because of it. It's not right. On the contrary, being willing to explore and change, maybe then change your mind again and go back to things you liked before and then change again. All of this is literally the art journey. Number 7, a real artist is tormented. This is one of the most unhealthy, dangerous stereotypes about artists. That in order to be a real artist, you should experience the torment and struggle of facing your inner demons. The legendary image of the tormented artist is so integrated in our collective consciousness that it's often considered an archetype. It's easy to think about examples of tormented artists. Our minds go to Jim Morrison, Vincent van Gogh, Amy Winehouse, Heath Ledger, Lord Byron, Mary Shelley, and many others. While it is undeniable that those artists had an incredible impact on the development and history of arts, we must not think that torment and struggle are required in order to consider yourself a real artist. Number 8, a real artist is in pain. This is strictly linked to the previous point, and again, absolutely not. We artists are sensitive beings, and therefore many times we feel emotions differently or more intensely due to our artistic nature. And while it is true that many times pain can lead us to express our art authentically and deeply, it's important to understand that that counts for every single strong emotion, included joy. I've made a lot of beautiful, meaningful art pieces out of sadness and anger. But I have to say, in my experience, the ones I'm most proud of are those I've made out of pure peace and bliss. The art I made while feeling content and serene. Art is an excellent tool to elaborate our emotions and can provide a healthy way to process struggle and sorrow. But again, it is not required, and you should never purposely look for negative experiences in order to feel like a real artist. Number 9, a real artist doesn't share their secrets. There's always been this conversation, especially in social media, about sort of gatekeeping information and resources about art. That is due to the fact that there is a belief about this race between people who strive to be artists. While again, it is in fact a race among people who want to become famous, successful, professional artists. And while again, I kind of understand where this anxiety comes from, it's also worth mentioning that the reason why artists still exist is that art has been preserved, shared, and passed on from artist to artist through generations. I know some people, maybe many of you, will disagree with me, but I personally feel that the world would be a much better place if more people were encouraged to let out their artist self. I want to give you a little example about me and a once friend of mine that we're going to call Jack. One time I told Jack I wanted to become an art teacher, and Jack replied by saying that only frustrated people want to become teachers. The truth is that Jack was very jealous of his art and was the kind of person who would hate younger artists just because they were too good at art for their age. I never knew why they felt like that, what brought them to have that kind of belief. But I can tell you why I have always felt I wanted to be an art teacher. In middle school, I would get bullied by my classmates and yelled at by my teachers for the simple fact that I really like to draw. In my 3rd year, a new art teacher came to our school, and that teacher has been the first person outside of my mom and dad to really believe in me and encourage me to pursue art in my studies. The simple act of him seeing the artist within me not only marked the start of what would become my career, but gave me such an injection of positivity. By the end of that year, I got better grades, I won 2nd place at my school art contest, and I gained the courage to sing in public for the first time in my life. And I always thought that if out there are some kids going through what I went through at that time, I want to be that teacher. I want to be the teacher to help them bring out the artists they are. Number 10, a real artist doesn't call themselves an artist. This is strictly linked to the concept of being humble. We're taught to belittle ourselves in order to be tolerated by society and to be considered nice. Truth is that there is a huge difference between being aware of our artist self and brag about it. To own your artist self with pride is neither wrong or rude. Being rude is rude. Also, constantly saying out loud, "Oh, I'm not a real artist," in order to sound humble, will inevitably lead you to starting believe in what you're saying. Many different studies show the power of affirmations in rewiring our brains. This is why many therapists will incorporate positive affirmations to help us rebuild the relationship with ourselves. By constantly repeating, "I'm not a real artist," you are building in yourself an unhealthy belief. At the same time, if we start allowing ourselves to say, "I am an artist," after some time, you'll notice you start believing in it. And with a little patience, that belief will return to awareness. You are an artist. Now, sliding to part 3, let's talk about mindset shifts and resources. Now, as anticipated in point 10 of part 2, an effective way to change your mindset and become aware of your artist self is by positive affirmations. By that, I don't mean you need to spend 5 minutes at the mirror saying positive things about yourself. But with that said, simply starting to say, "I am an artist," instead of belittling yourself, by trying to be humble will slowly but inevitably do the trick. Now, regarding external resources, there are different ones out there, but the one I constantly find myself recommending is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. It is a 12-week course in a book with the goal of setting free the blocked artist within you. It changed so many lives, including mine. Part 4, last but not least, I want to give you some exercises to help you get in touch with your artist self once again. Some of these steps are more practical than others, but if you want some extra homework to get back at making art, I recommend you check the exercises at the end of my Why Do Adults Stop Drawing video. With that said, here are 4 exercises for you. 1. Make art when you have no time to make art. This exercise is meant for all of you who struggle to find the time to make art. The truth is that we can always find the time to make art. What we're really struggling to find is the time to make good art. A scribble on a notepad is worthy of being called art as much as an oil painting. Not because it is valuable, but because it is the act of art making what's meaningful. So now, every time you feel like you want to make art, but feel like you have little to no time for it, make little, quick, imperfect art. Allow yourself to express yourself artistically, even when you have no time to make it look good. This second one is more specific for those of you who have an art account on social media or for those of you who want to start one. I want you to make 2 art pieces. I want you to post the first one and you have to post it. For I want you to start putting yourself out there. I want you to start letting other people see you as an artist. While the second art piece has to be for yourself and your eyes only. Because as much as it's important to let others see your art, it's also equally important to enjoy your art by yourself. We want to be open to others, not to depend on their feedback. And we want the act of making art to be meaningful to us even when there's no audience waiting for it. Lastly, if you don't already do this, start carrying a notebook or a sketchbook. Bring it with you wherever you go. It can be as big or as tiny as you wish. And you actually might end up not using it at all outside of your house. But let it be a reminder that your artist self exists in every moment, even when they're not performing, even when they're not showing. And that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope it was helpful to you and that you were able to learn something new. Don't forget to check the link in my description to be one of the first 500 people to get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. If you'd like to help this channel grow, you can simply do it by hitting the subscribe button and liking this video. If you'd like to support my art and content, my very first tarot deck, Vespertaro, is now available for purchase and you can get it at the link in my description. Also, if you'd like to see more of my work, consider joining my newsletter where I share weekly updates on my digitalized sketchbook. If you stayed till this point, thank you very much. I will see you very soon with more art videos. In the meantime, let's make art. Bye.